So whether you came here tonight because you're struggling with illness and inflammation and you're trying to get better as rapidly and as naturally as possible, or whether you're struggling with your metabolism and your weight and you're just struggling to lose weight and you want to get a faster metabolism naturally and quickly, then you are in the right place. My name is Dr. Brooke Goldner. I want to welcome you tonight to Fats, Harmful versus Healthy, and just really give you guys all a big, huge thank you. Thank you for showing up here tonight. You know, you're not just showing up here for me, although I appreciate all of you, and I'm excited that you're here, but you're really showing up for yourself in a huge way, because the information you're going to learn here tonight is life-changing, and it could make a biggest difference on what happens with your health and your body from here on out. So big kudos to you guys. When you're sitting there at home, I can't reach you guys out there, so I want you to just give yourself a pat on the back and say, yeah, I'm doing a good job tonight. I'm really showing up for myself because I'm really happy you're here. So I know that we have a really, really diverse audience here tonight. And there's some of you who already know me. You've either been to one of our live events, Amazing Fitness and Health or Amazing Health Mastery, or you might know me from my book, Goodbye Lupus, or you might have seen me in a documentary or something where you already kind of know my story, know me. But then I know there's also other people here who maybe have never heard of me before. Maybe you had a friend say, this is a webinar you should show up to, and you don't know anything about me. So for those folks, I just want to give you just a little bit of information about who I am, so you know who you're actually learning from tonight. So I hope that's okay with you guys. So as I said, my name is Dr. Brooke Goldner. I'm a board certified medical doctor. And I actually have a completely online medical practice. So I am the doctor of the future. And I do it this way. I see patients over Skype or FaceTime or phone if they're not technologically inclined. And I do it this way for multiple reasons. One is I am a mom, and I love being able to be there for my children as well as being there for my patients. And so it has been just an extraordinary thing for me to be able to have an office sequestered away at home where I could see patients all day long and take care of them, and then be able to go right out of here and tuck my kids into bed and make them dinner and be there for them as well. So that's been really wonderful for me. And the other reason is that my family, my husband, Thomas Tadlock, and my kids, we travel all around the country teaching hospitals and doctors and just regular folks how to use nutrition to reverse inflammatory illnesses and help people reverse chronic disease and chronic obesity as well, so that they can live healthier lives and so that they can help heal other people. And so since I have my computer as my office, I can travel and teach and still never miss an appointment and be able to be there for people who need me, because I can just open up my computer and see them. So it has been really wonderful for me to be able to do it this way. And it also lets me see clients from literally all over the world. I have clients ranging from Australia to, all over the country here, Canada, Mexico. I mean, it's just really fabulous for me to be able to reach people from wherever they are and wherever I am. So that's why I teach it that way. And as I mentioned, I wrote a book called Goodbye Lupus, and it's a #1 best-selling book. I also have a book, Green Smoothie Recipes to Kickstart Your Health and Healing. That is the recipes that I prescribe my clients. And, and so I've been author, teacher, doctor, but really before any of that, I was a patient. And when I was 16 years old, I was told that I had 6 months to live. My doctors diagnosed me with a disease called lupus. And some of you may have heard of lupus. Nowadays, most people have. When I was diagnosed, it was still rare. And at the time, I was in stage 4 kidney failure. And my doctor said my kidneys were failing so rapidly that within 6 months, I would be lucky to be on dialysis, but there was a big chance I wasn't going to make it at all. And the only thing they could do to save me was be very, very aggressive with, at the time, experimental treatments using chemotherapy. And so they used chemotherapy on me, but my disease kept coming back. And so they ended up using chemotherapy for me for 2 whole years to get me into a remission to save my kidneys. So from 16 to 18 years old, I was on chemotherapy plus prednisone and a whole bunch of other pills to try to keep me alive. And it's why I became a doctor today, is because Western medicine truly saved my life. And that's what medications are great for. They're great for saving your life. The problem is they don't give you health. And so for me, even though I went into a remission with my kidney failure when I was 18, because I had lupus, I continued to get sick as I got older, ultimately having a mini stroke when I was in medical school and collapsing in one of the clinics. And so I know very, very clearly and very intimately what it's like to be gravely ill, to have arthritis, to have zero energy and just try to push myself through the day, even though I feel like I'm wearing cement shoes underwater. I know what it's like to be afraid of what's going to happen next, and to have to trust, people in white coats to know what to do to help me. And it was a really, really tough time for most of my life, up until I was 28 years old. And that's when my husband, Thomas Tadlock, and I discovered a way to actually manipulate cellular biology using supermarket foods. And we figured out we could create a low inflammation environment within the human body just by what we feed it. And within 4 months after me starting my diet, I had completely reversed the lupus. 4 months later, every blood test was negative for lupus, and I was completely symptom-free. And I lived that way for 4 years before I finally decided to go against my doctor's orders and have children, because they told me that would kill me. A lot of women with lupus die in childbirth. And after having one son and now the second one as well, and still being disease-free, there is no question that the disease has completely disappeared, which is something, according to Western medicine, that is completely impossible. It is still, if someone gets diagnosed with lupus today, I have someone I just saw who's in the hospital right now whose doctor said there's nothing we can do but give you medications and try to treat you. So according to Western medicine, this is impossible. Yet this year makes 11 years that I've been completely disease-free. And so what I've dedicated my life to is teaching others, everybody who'll listen, how to use nutrition to reverse disease, so that every single one of you and everyone you know, everyone you talk to, everyone you bump into in the supermarket that'll listen to you has the opportunity to heal their body and be healthy. Because I believe with all my heart, my husband, Thomas Tadlock, he believes the same thing, that health should be a right. And everybody should be able to access the information that they need to live a healthy, extraordinary life. Because of what we discovered with nutrition, I get to grow old with the man that I love. I get to have a family, and I get to do this extraordinary job. And so what I want for every one of you is for you to live your life purpose, for you to fall in love and grow old with somebody, for you to watch your children grow older if you choose to have children, for you to give your gift that you were born to give because you're healthy and strong enough to give it. And so that's why I'm doing this tonight. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am to hear this information and to learn the answer to one of the most asked questions I get on a daily basis, which is about fat. There is so much misinformation out there, including doctors. I've had doctors attend my seminars who literally, when I'm sharing this information, I can hear the bang of their chins hitting the floor when they hear some of the information I'm going to share with you tonight, especially how to hack your health so that you can rapidly reverse inflammation, chronic disease, and obesity faster than anyone ever thought possible by using the information I'm going to teach you today. So I hope you guys are excited. Give me a thumbs up if you're excited, and we can get started. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to teach you which woohoo! Thanks, Matt. So what I'm going to teach you are which fats actually harm your health. So there are certain fats that are causing you to be sick right now. They're causing you to be fat. They're causing you to have inflammation. And then there are other fats that are kind of neutral, but not too bad for you. And then there's other ones that can dramatically hack your health so that you can transform your health in your body really, really quickly. And so I'm going to teach you all of that in the next hour. And then I'm going to follow that up with question and answer. So if you have questions, please write them down. If you go below my video, right down here, you'll see there's an area for questions. I want you to write those down as I speak. So as I go over different topics, if I didn't answer something that's burning in your mind, write it down. And so when I get to the section for questions and answers, I will be able to click on those and answer those for everybody else, and make sure we get to all of them so that you guys really feel like you got the information you need. Okay, so now this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a slideshow, and I've never used the software before, so I'm going to, please be patient with me just in case I fumble a little while I'm trying to do this. So I'm going to do screen share. Okay, and I'm going to choose my seminar. I'm talking to you and myself as I'm trying to figure this out. Let's see. So right now, do you guys see it side by side?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just do that.
And then click on that thing. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you guys for interacting with me. You guys are so sweet to me. So, all right, so what I'm gonna do now is my face is gonna disappear, and we're gonna go onto the slideshow so that you guys can see it really clearly. All right, as soon as I can get the button to make. Every time I try to get the button, it goes away. Do I have to sneak up on it, Tom? Like side, like I made him stay in the room to make sure that I get this. There we go. All right, cool. All right. So there's a first time for everything. You guys are here with me for my first. We got this. So fats healthy versus harmful. Let's get into it. So, all right, let's try to get into it. Do I have to actually work from the, I'm sorry, I'm actually talking to Tom backward. Do I have to go to the PowerPoint? All right. All right, I'm almost there, guys, I swear. All right, now we're doing it. Now we're playing with fire. Okay, here we go. So as I mentioned before, this work that we're doing has got a lot of attention, documentaries and magazines and things like that. And it's really been a blessing because it's gotten people interested and excited in learning this information. So let's get to it. So are fats healthy versus harmful? That's a big question, right? Are they healthy or harmful? And the answer is yes and yes. There are certain fats that are truly wonderfully healthy, and there are certain fats that are really putting you in the grave very, very quickly. And so I want you to understand both of those really quickly. So there's all different kinds of fats. When I'm talking about fats, I'm talking about fats from animal products. So you see here, there's meat and dairy and eggs. There's also fats from oils, vegetable oils. There's fats from nuts and seeds. And there's fats from just certain foods like avocados and coconuts that have a lot of fat in them. So which ones are you supposed to eat and which ones aren't you? Because if you Google, I promise you, you will find contradictions on everything. And a lot of that is because industries, as soon as they hear their product being vilified, they will pay other scientists to try to make a study that makes it look better. But I'm going to tell you what's actually happening on a cellular level when you consume these foods so that you can understand truly what's happening and truly what is healthy versus unhealthy. So let's start with the fats from meat and dairy. Now, probably a lot of you have already heard about the dangers of saturated fat. That's been going on for quite a long time. And it's why for years now, people have been trying to trim the fat off their steaks and things like that. So we know that when you get saturated fat in your bloodstream, it's going to increase your bad cholesterol and you're going to be much higher risk for heart attacks, strokes, and high blood pressure. That's probably not news to you guys, right? But what about what happens in your gut when you eat saturated fat? See, one of the biggest things out there right now in research is looking at the gut. You've probably heard of things like leaky gut and how the gut is so important. People are trying to create all different kinds of probiotic drinks and foods because they're trying to do something with their gut, but they're not even really sure what's happening there. It's kind of a fad, but we also know in the scientific research, it is actually one of the most important factors in determining your health is the health of your gut. Well, what happens when you eat saturated fat? What happens to your gut? Well, there was a great study in Scientific American where they actually applied saturated fat that was from dairy to the gut lining to see what happens in the intestines when you expose them to saturated fat. And what they saw was that it actually very quickly decimates the healthy bacteria in your gut. So all those great probiotics you're taking, all those great healthy bacteria that are keeping you healthy are immediately just slaughtered when they get exposed to the saturated fat from dairy. And when that happens, there is inflammation all along the gut wall. It just starts to get super, super inflamed as if it got injured, as if you went in there and you got punched or you cut it. There was immediate gut inflammation. And the inflammation not only was happening inside the gut, but it was coming from the immune system coming to the attention of the gut, creating inflammation as well. So that causes inflammation within the body. And when I'm talking about inflammation here, I'm talking about the negative kind of inflammation that's going to be something that you're worried about, or chronic inflammation. So there's an inflammation within your gut, and then the inflammation gets spread systemically or through your body. So your immune system is now responding as if you've got a cold or you've got a virus or something like that attacking you, and all you did was have a piece of cheese, okay? Now, in some, they also had hemorrhages. So just from having some saturated fat, which in this case came from dairy, there's an immediate reaction where the gut becomes inflamed, the healthy bacteria gone, and there's bleeding in some cases. So when you think about people who are suffering from colitis, like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, irritable bowel syndrome, bloating, poor digestion, this is one of the big culprits. And the sad thing is I've seen diet protocols that are supposed to heal those diseases that include butter and other saturated fats. And it just really makes me cringe when I see that, because we know that those have an immediate negative effect on the gut. But we also have to know that if you're decimating these healthy bacteria, it actually has effect within the entire body. And what we see is that people get something called leaky gut. And basically what that means is the actual lining of the gut is damaged. So it's supposed to be a closed system where nothing gets in or out unless it goes in through the mouth and out through the anus, right? But if you're having inflammation of the gut, then you can get little holes that are allowing things that are inside you to get out into your bloodstream that shouldn't be. And that's called leaky gut. And that actually can create symptoms of autoimmune disease. And what they've seen is there are people who have lupus-like symptoms that are coming from leaky gut. And when they repair their gut, they get better. I've had folks that have had Crohn's and irritable bowel syndrome. I recently had someone with Crohn's whose diarrhea stopped after years of diarrhea, stopped after 2 weeks. So it really is something that can repair quickly when we know how to feed the gut properly. So it's another important thing to understand about saturated fat. Now, when we look at saturated fat in the body, what we also see is that it spikes inflammation. What I mean by that is what scientists have measured the blood response of eating saturated fat from meat and dairy. And what they've seen is the level of your immune cells that cause inflammation, that fight disease, those rise after you eat that, again, as if you have an infection. And a meal you eat should not engage your immune system. And you have to understand that if many of the meals you eat have animal fat in them, then you are constantly engaging your immune system, which is called chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is what triggers disease. So a lot of people think that your genetics is what causes you to get sick. And it's true in a sense. Your genetics determine what illnesses you get and how sensitive you are to getting sick. So for me, eating macaroni and cheese and Chef Boyardee and pizza growing up, that caused lupus at 16 years old. That was very, very severe reaction. That was based on my genetics, but it was triggered by my diet, okay? Other folks that ate the same diet as me, maybe they got diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis when they were in their 20s or 30s or 40s. And maybe other people with the same diet are going to get a cancer or a heart attack in their 50s or 60s. But it's the same problem that's causing it. It's the chronic inflammation that's coming from misfeeding ourselves. So when you're eating foods that spike inflammation, that's what I want you to realize, is that you're creating a chronic inflammation response in your body that will then trigger the disease genes, whatever those genes are for you. So we see that happen after just a meal that has any kind of animal fat in it, meat or dairy, that you get an inflammation response from it. So imagine if you're eating some kind of meat or dairy with every meal, you are constantly inflamed. We know that it causes heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Crohn's disease, Alzheimer's, erectile dysfunction, multiple sclerosis, premature aging, decreased male fertility, and the list goes on, but I just ran out of space on the screen and we have to go move on to other things. But I hope you understand how serious this is, that these are not just benign fats that, I just want to watch out for my cholesterol so I won't eat too much. You are directly feeding disease when you eat fats from meat and dairy. Now, the next one to look at is something called trans fat. Now, trans fat is something that even the FDA acknowledges is evil now, right? It took them a while, but they now acknowledge it's evil. And you might have even heard that it was banned, right? Because the FDA did ban it from restaurant foods. They did say that they do not want people being fed trans fats because they know how lethal they are. The problem is, while it's not in the fast foods as much anymore, it is in the foods you buy in the supermarket, especially the processed foods. So why are these so bad for you? And here's a list of some of these, just in case you buy any of these foods. So prepared pie crusts, margarine sticks, cake mixes and frostings, kids frozen chicken. So those kids nuggets, the little chicken nuggets and all that stuff, those have trans fat in them. You have ice cream because it naturally occurs in dairy, microwave popcorn, ground beef, cookies that you buy in the store, breakfast sandwiches. Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches has 3 grams of trans fat in them. That is an enormous amount. And they actually advertise themselves as a healthy breakfast, right? So you really got to watch out for these foods. And the reason why trans fats are so lethal is because they directly damage your blood vessels. So when you're thinking about the health of your blood vessels, right? Your blood vessels are important to carry blood through your whole body. So they directly are injured by the trans fats. And so what happens is you develop chronic inflammation within the blood vessels. So your body is trying to deal with this inflammation and heal them. So how does your body heal damage in your blood vessels? It lays down fatty blockages called plaques. So think about all the people walking around with plaques inside their blood vessels. What happens when you've got plaques filling up your blood vessels? You try to patch all the holes that you have. Well, you end up with heart attacks and strokes. And nowadays, every single person I know knows somebody that's had a heart attack or a stroke, or they've had one themselves, or they are in the process of developing disease that's going to lead to a heart attack or stroke. So you've really got to watch out for the processed foods. And so if you're on the hunt for healthy foods and you want to avoid trans fat, I want you to avoid these ingredients. So if you have a pen and paper, write these down. You want to avoid shortening, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, and hydrogenated vegetable oil. Those are all words that you'll see in the ingredients that actually mean trans fat. So shortening, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, and hydrogenated vegetable oil, all of those are super, super bad news when you're looking at the health of your blood vessels and your body. We need those blood vessels intact. So like I said, FDA acknowledges this one. They're still trailing behind the animal fat one, but this one they've acknowledged, and yet it's still available in the supermarket, not only to foods that are marketed to you that are marketed even as healthy, like, oh, microwave popcorn, right? But also foods that are marketed to children. And you got to realize that we now have the unhealthiest kids we've ever seen in history. That for the first time in history, they're predicting kids are not going to outlive their parents. That's never happened before. Every other generation, the kids were expected to live longer than their parents. Not anymore. Our kids are developing plaques in their arteries by 8 years old. We have seen them in kids by 8 years old. It is now normal to start having plaques in their arteries. And I mean normal as in common, but it shouldn't be that way. And so we need to be very, very careful about what we feed our kids. And I'm very passionate about this, that we need to do what's necessary to make sure that we are giving our kids what they need to grow up healthy and strong, and also help them not have to battle all the food addictions that we have to battle as adults who are trying to fix all the mistakes we made up until this point. So those are trans fats. Now let's keep moving through here. So the next kind of fat that we're looking at is oils. Now, this one is really interesting to me because, and I'm looking at vegetable oils like safflower oil, canola oil, goodness, there's soybean oil, all the different vegetable oils. A lot of these have somehow figured out how to get marketed as healthy. I mean, marketers are really amazing to me because they are able to convince people that things that are toxic to them are healthy. Now, the only one I'm not talking about here is olive oil. But when you're looking at these different types of oils, we need to understand that they actually directly cause inflammation. They feed the inflammatory immune pathway. And I'm about to show you exactly how. I'm going to show you some science. Don't get afraid. I'm going to be gentle. I'm going to show you the science, and then I'm going to make it easy to understand. But I want you to see what's actually happening because it is so cool. Science is awesome, man. So the vegetable oils, I'm sorry, not vegetables. Don't write that down. Vegetable oils are inflammatory, not vegetables. Vegetable oils are inflammatory. Okay, so that's a funny one. Vegetable oils are inflammatory, not vegetables. Okay, the only one that's not inflammatory is olive oil, and it's because olive oil actually has something called omega-9 fatty acids, which is different than omega-6, which is what these other oils are mainly made of. And so the olive oil does not participate in the inflammatory pathway. It's neutral when it comes to inflammation. So if you're looking at lowering your inflammation as quickly as possible, which is what I do, that's what I'm an expert in, then olive oil is not a player in this. So if you have to cook with some oil, if you're like, I can't get away from oil yet, what I suggest is you put olive oil in a spray bottle and you just spray that into your pan when you're cooking so that you can just get a little bit on there and cook it at a lower temperature. Olive oil likes a lower temperature, but just use that one. Now, you want to minimize how much you use. That's why I say to use a spray bottle, because any kind of oils, when you eat them, they actually end up in the bloodstream and they make your blood cells sticky while they're in there. And so that's why some of my colleagues like Dr. Esselstyn will say no oils at all, because the people who go to see him already have severe heart disease and have had heart attacks and heart failure. So he doesn't want any sticky cells, right? It's too dangerous. So he gets people off oil altogether. But for most folks, if you use a little bit of olive oil once in a while, that's not going to affect you in terms of your health, and it's not going to affect the inflammatory pathway. So again, looking at the slide, vegetable oils are inflammatory, not vegetables, and the exception is olive oil. And the other part too, by the way, is the stickiness of the cells, and also there's a reduction in signaling. So when the cells are not, when the fats are in the bloodstream, then the cells can't signal properly. And so maybe you're doing some good exercise, or maybe your cells are trying to fight inflammation, and they're not receiving the signals they need to do the work they want to do while it's in your bloodstream. So again, it's not ideal to have oils in your diet at all, but if you must have one, then olive oil, but sparingly. Now, here it is. The science is coming, guys. So prepare yourself and don't be afraid, because I swear I'm going to make it easy to understand. But I really think it's important for people to understand why things work the way they do. And maybe that's just because that's the way I am. When I was growing up, I asked why so much. My mom used to just say, why is a crooked letter? Because it was the only thing that shut me up, because I couldn't figure out what that meant. And so for me, I have to know why things happen. I really need to understand the pathways. And it's one of the reasons I went into science and did genetic research at Carnegie Mellon. It was all about really understanding, how do things work within the body? How do our cells work? And so I want you to see this. And then, like I said, I'm going to make the science easier to understand, but I'm going to show you what the actual scientific names are. You don't need to write down all these scientific names I'm about to show you. I just want you to sit back and understand the way this pathway works. Just sit back and just try to understand the meaning of the pathway, okay? So omega-6 fatty acids are essential fatty acids. What that means is that our body cannot make them. We have to eat them. Now, because of that fact, there is a misconception out there that we need to take supplements that have omega-6 fatty acids. But that's not the case, because omega-6 fatty acids are in most things people eat every day, and we have way too much of them. So we have 40 times more fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids in our bloodstream than we are supposed to have, and that is what is making us sick, okay? So sit back and just watch this. So omega-6 fatty acids are in vegetable oils. They're in all land animal fats. So any kind of meat, chicken, any of that stuff, they've got omega-6 fatty acids, especially the ones that are farmed, but they all have omega-6 fatty acids in their meat, in their fat as well. And also processed foods. I put processed foods separately because most folks don't realize that the majority of oils they eat every day are in the processed foods. Processed foods are notorious for being full of oil, palm oil, all sorts of different kinds of vegetable oils that directly cause inflammation. So I listed them separately: vegetable oils that you add into your food, but also processed foods. You got to check the ingredients of what you're eating. So they are all, those are all a direct source of something called linoleic acid. Again, the name's not important, but I just want you to see what happens. So linoleic acid has an enzyme called delta-6 desaturase that turns it into gamma linoleic acid, and it keeps going. DGLA goes down and forms something called arachidonic acid. Some of you may have heard of arachidonic acid, okay? Arachidonic acid also is in meat, fish, and eggs. So anytime you eat meat, fish, or eggs, you are getting huge amounts of arachidonic acid, okay? So what does that mean? Why is that important? Well, arachidonic acid has 3 different enzymes that digest it, okay? One of them is called COX-2. It creates something called prostaglandin E2, 5-LOX leukotriene B4, and COX-1 thromboxane A2. Again, don't worry about the names, but I just want you to see how this works. So you're getting vegetable oils, animal fat, processed foods going in, meat, fish, and eggs going in, and you are creating these immune cells. Now, these are the inflammatory immune cells. These are the immune cells that actually create inflammation in your body, okay? So I want you to get a closer look at this so that you can really understand. So let's just zoom in on this section right here. So we're going to zoom in on this section, and I'm going to break it down for you. So again, we're remembering that oils, processed foods, and all different kinds of meat, chicken, eggs, beef, fish, duck, fowl, lamb. I list them because people will ask me them individually. So all those different things are sources of arachidonic acid, right? Because whether they come in as linoleic acid or they come in as arachidonic acid, eventually they become arachidonic acid, right? So when you have large amounts of this arachidonic acid in your bloodstream, you are going to create more, because your body needs to digest it. So it's going to stimulate more 5-LOX enzyme, more COX-1 enzyme, more COX-2 enzyme, which is going to make more leukotriene B4, more thromboxane E2, and more prostaglandin E2. So who cares, right? Well, this is why. Let's look at what these things do. So 5-LOX is an enzyme that is involved in repairing cells. So if you get injured, then let's say you bang your leg into the corner of your bed like I do on a regular basis, right? Let's say you get injured, you need to create new cells and repair cells, right? But what if you have too much of this 5-LOX because you are overdosing in your omega-6 fatty acids? Well, what we see is, and the research is gorgeous that shows this, but it would take me 2 hours to show it all to you. So what they've shown in the research is when you have excess 5-LOX, you have increased cancer growth, cancer invasion, and cancer metastasis or spread. So that makes sense, right? Because which cells are needing repair? Which cells are growing the fastest in your body? It would be cancer cells. See, we always have cancer cells in our body. It's not something rare. Cancer cells happen all the time. They're just the cells that have mistakes in them. But what cures cancer cells for us at any given moment, what's working on your cancer cells right now, is our immune system. Our immune system gets rid of those. But if your immune system's not working properly because you've got chronic inflammation because you're eating too much of this stuff up here, the oil and processed foods and the animals, then you are going to stimulate cancer growth, invasion, and metastasis through the 5-LOX enzyme. And that's what we see. And it's a really important thing to understand that, it is now very well documented that animal products cause cancer. And in fact, the World Health Organization declared last year that meat is a carcinogen, just like cigarettes are. The World Health Organization, agreement from scientists all around the world, they all agree that meat is a carcinogen. And what I'm showing you is why, okay, right here. So what else happens? So that's pretty bad. Well, 5-LOX also creates this leukotriene B4, right? LTB4. Well, what happens there? So we have more LOX5, so we're going to make more LTB4. Well, what does that do? Well, LTB4 creates inflammation. So you're going to have chronic inflammation. It's going to cause destruction of healthy tissue. So, when I bang my leg on the foot of my bed, then I have tissue that needs to be fixed, right? And so what happens when I bang my knee is that it gets swollen, right? It gets inflammation because that's all the different immune cells and repair cells coming in to try to fix it. Well, what if I didn't damage my knee, but I still have all this inflammation from all these immune cells coming in because I've got too much of the LTB4? It's going to start destroying healthy tissue, which is why people with chronic inflammation often develop arthritis. Not just rheumatoid arthritis, but osteoarthritis is also affected. You're creating inflammation within the joint space. It creates edema or swelling, creates asthma. This one is primarily responsible for asthma. And it's why people who give up dairy, especially dairy, but animal products in general, tend to recover from asthma quickly. I've had multiple asthmatic patients who are off their asthma medications literally within 2 weeks, okay, just by changing their diet. So this is also going to create atherosclerosis, heart attack. It's going to create more pain. So just your feeling of pain in your body. Also, all the different kinds of inflammatory bowel disease and colitis. So you can see just that one pathway is already, probably kind of, oh, okay, this is not good, right? Well, I'm sorry to say it gets worse. So COX-1 is the next one. You can see COX-1. COX-1 is responsible for creating blood clots. Well, blood clots are important, right? Because let's say I cut myself because I'm going through some charts and I cut my finger because I just love getting paper cuts. Well, what happens? I start bleeding. I need clots to happen so I can stop bleeding, right? Clotting is important. But what if I have too much COX-1? Well, then what am I going to do? I'm going to create too many blood clots, which I've done in the past, and that leads to heart attacks and strokes. So looking at that, by the way, a COX-1 inhibitor, something that blocks COX-1, is aspirin. And that's why your doctor says to take aspirin if you're at risk for a heart attack, because they're just trying to block COX-1 so that they can prevent the heart attack. The problem is, what about what's causing the COX-1 to be high to begin with? That's not something that's usually addressed. So there's the COX-1 issue. Now, what about COX-2? Well, let's see what happens when we have too much COX-2 because you're having too much arachidonic acid and omega-6 fatty acids. This one is responsible for blood supply. So let's say I damage my knee and I need to fix those cells. We need the blood supply to come into my knee to help it repair, right? We need to repair the damage. But what if I don't have that damage, but I just have way, way too much COX-2? Well, that blood supply is going to go into all sorts of cells. And which cells need the most blood supply? Cancer cells do, because they grow so rapidly. Now, one of the ways that cancer cells normally die in your body, besides your immune system killing them off, is that they grow so fast that the blood supply can't keep up and they just die. They become necrotic because they don't have enough blood supply to feed them. But if you've got high levels of COX-2 because you're eating animal products and processed foods and these vegetable oils, then you're going to have great blood supply going into those cancer cells, which is going to allow them to keep growing. And so we also get more prostaglandin E2. And what we see is more cancer, more chronic inflammation, more pain, more irritable bowel disease, and inflammatory bowel disease today. So this is what I want you to take home from that whole pathway. You don't need to know linoleic acid and even arachidonic acid or any of that stuff. But just to understand what's happening right now in your body is that when you're eating these processed oils, processed foods, fats from animal products, and even meat like fish and chicken that's considered lower fat, that you are directly fueling this pathway, which is fueling your illness. This is one of the most important pathways to understand. And what's really frustrating is that we never really hear about it in medicine much, except in one way. Because you might be wondering, you know, why is it if I've had cancer, or if I've had autoimmune disease, or if I've had irritable bowel, why didn't my doctor tell me that I need to stop eating these foods? And this is the reason. It's not that your doctor wants you to be sick. I have a lot of people who tell me that they think that their doctor just wants to see them more and make more money. And I've met so many doctors, I've trained so many doctors, and all of them earnestly want to help people. They just don't know about this. And this is why. Check this out. This is what I learned in medical school. So I learned the omega-6 pathway, and I learned that arachidonic acid creates PGE2 and sarbaxamine E2 and LTB4. But the only reason I learned the pathway was to learn the medications to use to stop the diseases in the pathway. So, and I only wrote a couple, I wrote down 5 medications. I learned thousands of medications in medical school. And this was back before iPads. So we just had to memorize thousands of medications and how they work. And so we were looking at, okay, if somebody has asthma, they should take Xylutin because that's going to block 5 LOX. And if they have blood clots, give them aspirin to block COX-2. And if they've got other kinds of autoimmune issues and inflammation in their joints, give them Vioxx or Celebrex to block COX-2. That's what we learned. And my belief is we were so overwhelmed in medical school with learning all of these pathways and all of the medications to use to block the pathways. Not one person in my class ever thought to ask, well, where does arachidonic acid come from? And why can't we just reduce it by changing the source? It just never came up. And it's really sad to think here are these super intelligent people working so hard to understand these pathways, but it's just not taught to us in that way. It's taught to us purely in a way of how do we use the technology we have, which is medications, to alter illnesses by blocking these different enzymes and pathways. But we never were taught, where does omega-6 come from? Where does arachidonic acid come from, so that we could actually just make less? Because if you make less, then you don't need all those medications. And that's a hell of a lot better, isn't it? Well, let me see. You guys following me so far? Let me see if there's any big questions came up through here. All right, cool. So you guys are all still with me. I'm going to get to some of these that I'm already seeing come up. So we're going to get to that. So that is one of the most important concepts to understand when it comes to understanding the fats that make you sick. And I hope that that was really clear to you, you know, especially looking at this one right here, to really understand why those are bad. And to also make you just kind of, you know, just squint at the screen with mistrust when someone tries to tell you that any of these foods are going to help you heal disease. It doesn't work that way. In fact, I've seen the opposite. I've had multiple people now who are on the paleo diet who then developed severe autoimmune disease because they gave up all the foods that are healthy, like actual plant foods, like vegetables and fruits and things like that, and they're eating just eggs and meat, and they get sick very quickly. They might lose weight and gain muscle. They're doing CrossFit and stuff, but on the inside, they are destroying their health. I had someone recently tell me that she thought she was in the best shape of her life on the paleo diet because she was the thinnest she ever was. But she then developed severe lupus and could barely move her hands or play with her kids or anything, had no energy, all because on the inside, she was creating chronic inflammation. So this is the death pathway right here. And I want you to really take that in. Okay, so let's look on the bright side. What are the things that you can do, right? So one question I ask a lot is, should I just go on a fat-free diet? And this is actually a pitfall that I've seen, especially in the vegan community, where people get this mindset that if all those fats are bad, then maybe all fats are bad. But that's not the case, okay? And it's actually a very dangerous thing. I've seen some actually famous folks in health and wellness tell people to avoid all fats, even from just whole foods. And the problem is you're going to actually injure yourself because you're not going to be able to create the environment in your body that's going to let you heal, and you're going to end up damaging yourself. And I'm going to show you why. So here's fats that you can eat. All right. First of all, fats from whole plant foods. Now, I don't consider these healing foods, by the way. Avocado, coconut, these are not healing foods, but they do provide, they're not just a source of fat. They're a source of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and other good things that your body needs. And so your body's able to use it. Even though some of these do have some omega-6 and omega-3 and all these other different things in them, they actually are a source of nutrients as well. So for example, avocados have nearly 20 vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients in them. They're astounding when it comes to nutrient density. When I was healing from lupus, I was eating multiple avocados a day just because I love them so much. And guacamole helps me eat more broccoli. And so they have huge amounts of healing nutrients in them that our bodies really can use and need. And there have actually been some recent studies looking at protective properties against cancer, from avocados. So this is not just a fat source. I had somebody tell me once who was trying to do a plant-based diet the healthy way that she thought was healthy, which was with no added fat. And she said she stopped eating avocados because eating half just broke her heart. And she wanted the whole thing. And I went, well, eat the whole thing. So you can eat the whole thing if you want to. And so it's protective against inflammation and cancer because of all the vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that are in them. Those are really, really important. It also is largely a source of omega-9 fatty acids. So like olive oil, it's kind of neutral in the inflammation pathway. And it doesn't cause the stickiness in your bloodstream that adding oils directly would. So don't eat avocado oil. That goes into the same column as eating those other processed oils. That's going to cause sticky cells and it's going to damage you. So even though it's omega-9, so it might be more in the neutral category like olive oil, but it's going to cause that stickiness in your bloodstream. So just eat the avocado. They're delicious. Just eat them. Don't eat the plain oils, okay? And eat as much of them as you feel like. And coconuts, they're a rich source of minerals like iron and magnesium. They've got potassium and B vitamins, all sorts of really wonderful things that your body can use. It is a source of saturated fat, but when you eat, it's fascinating. When you eat the coconut itself, it actually raises your good cholesterol, your HDL. But what about when you eat coconut oil? So I already saw somebody ask that question. What about just pure coconut oil? Well, it turns out that even though there are tons of people out there, especially people who sell coconut oil, who are saying that it is the cure for everything, when you look at actual nutrition studies and what's happening with real patients, which is really what interests me more than the studies, is what's happening with real people, the only thing it does really, really effectively is raise cholesterol. And we actually just had somebody in our Smoothie Shred group online. We have a free community called Smoothie Shred for people trying to reverse disease and get themselves really fit. And she said that's exactly what happened to her. She started consuming coconut oil as a health food, and her cholesterol shot up, her bad cholesterol. And when she went off of it, it went back to normal. So don't eat coconut oil. Just put it on your skin. It's very nice topically. It's healthy for your skin. It actually it sends mosquitoes the other direction. Great topically, great conditioner for your hair. Don't eat it. It's not a health food. There's no evidence that it is good for you. I'm sorry for the folks that love coconut oil, but the evidence is just not there. So what about nuts and seeds? Another source of fats, right? Well, there's all different kinds of them. When you're looking at all the different kinds of nuts and seeds out there, so whether they're hemp seeds, sunflower seeds, almonds, macadamia nuts. I mean, there's just endless amounts of nuts, right? They've definitely got a lot of fats in them. Omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids are in all these different kinds of nuts. But they've also, again, as plant foods, have a vast amount of vitamins and minerals in them as well. So even though some nuts, all nuts really have more omega-6 and omega-3 in them, so they're not a healing oil, but they've got protective effects just like the avocado and the coconut because they've got vast amounts of vitamins and minerals as well. So if you like to have a can full of almonds, as a snack between meals, and go ahead and enjoy your almonds. A lot of people right now who follow me on Facebook are addicted to my recipe for an almond Caesar salad dressing that I make just out of almonds and nutritional yeast and some other good stuff. You can enjoy the dressing. You're not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to get fat from it. It is totally fine. Now, you don't want to have too much of it because it's super, super filling and you're not going to be able to eat the foods you really need to eat to heal. The nuts are not a healing food again. They are just a healthy food that you can have as part of a healthy diet, even while you're trying to heal disease or trying to reverse obesity. So go ahead and incorporate them, but make sure that they are raw. Don't eat the stuff that's roasted in oil. I know it's delicious. They roast it in oil and cover it in salt, and next thing you know, you've eaten a pound of it, okay? That's not the way to go because you remember what the oils do. So we don't want the oils on them. And when you roast them, you destroy the nutrition content, and now you've really just got a fat source. So stick with the raw ones. And if you have raw nuts, you tend to eat less of them. They're not as easy to eat as like a container of Planters peanuts that have been roasted in oil and salt. You tend to have a few and you're ready to move on. So hopefully that reassures you that eating nuts and seeds are not going to make you fat. There's some, you're going to get some benefit from them and you can feel safe eating them. But they're still not a healing food. They're not ones that I consider necessary for healing. It's just something you can eat if you like them. So, raw nut roasted oils, as I said. So which ones are the healing ones? These are the ones to write down. The omega-3 fatty acids. So mainly flax seeds and chia seeds. Now, I mentioned before omega-6 fatty acids were essential fatty acids because you can't make them. Well, omega-3 fatty acids are the other essential fatty acid. Our body cannot make them, but we need them. And we need them because of multiple amazing, important reasons. And now realize we cannot make these, but most people don't eat them at all. So can you imagine something that's essential for your health and for healing and for creating a fast metabolism, and they don't even exist in most people's diet? Now, some of you guys are already on our smoothie shred, or you've already read my book, Goodbye Lupus, or something like that. So you've already got these on board. But for some of you, you may not have even heard about them. So let me explain why they're so important. So first of all, this is something really, really important to understand, is that not every fat you eat becomes fat in your body. There is a misconception that if you eat fat, then it just goes to your belly or your butt or your thighs or wherever it is that you gain fat. And that is not the case. There are some fats that will make you fatter, especially the ones that are in that bad column A that we talked about in the beginning of this talk. But there are also fats that are used to build cells. And omega-3 fatty acids actually build cells. So they don't become fat on your body, they become your cells. And actually you want them in your cells because they are going to make you super healthy and have a super fast metabolism. So here's how it works. They actually integrate in cell membranes. So all of your cells have a membrane around them that's made of fat, which keeps them whole and intact. Otherwise they would just dissolve. So your membranes can have omega-6 fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, whichever kinds of fatty acids you happen to eat, because again, you can't make them. And so here's how it works. Now, omega-3 fatty acids they create super flexible, healthy cells. So that, let's say your body is trying to heal from lupus. Then your body sends a signal, hey, we need to do some healing on some cells. If your cell is totally hard and rigid because it's full of omega-6 fatty acids, because all you're eating is animal products and processed foods and oils, then that signal is going to come along and it's going to bounce right off that tough, rigid cell, and your cell's never going to get the message. It won't even know you called. The same thing happens with fat loss. There are people who work out like crazy. Some of you might be on this seminar right now, work out like crazy, and you can't lose weight and you don't know why. This might be the reason, because if your body's giving you the signal, hey, she's exercising, let's break down some fat. If that cell is so hard and rigid that it can't get the signal, it won't break down the fat and it's going to stay there. So if you want a healthy, flexible cell that actually catches all the signals just like a catcher's mitt, then you want to have omega-3 fatty acids. In fact, you need omega-3 fatty acids so that all the nutrients can get in and all the toxins can come out. If you don't have omega-3 fatty acids in your diet, then you're going to have really rigid cells that are going to be missing nutrients, missing signals, and there's going to be toxins trapped inside of them. This is a really big deal that's driving inflammation and illness in people. Another thing omega-3 fatty acids do is they become part of your brain. So some of you have already downloaded, I have a free seminar on my website, veganmedicaldoctor.com, called Boost Your Brain Power. And it's all about how to create better memory and better mood and better brain function just with natural foods and natural activities. Well, one of the things I talked about was omega-3 fatty acids being essential. So they are actually the building blocks of healthy neurons. The neurons are basically your brain cells. They should have omega-3 fatty acids in them so they could do all the signaling they need to do in a rapid and healthy way. And when you consume omega-3 fatty acids, so those flax seeds and those chia seeds, you get better memory, better mood, and better cognitive function. So you're better able to think. And it's also anti-aging in the brain as well. Very, very important. It's scary for a lot of people. Most people are looking at the idea of having Alzheimer's or dementia, that's just a normal part of aging, but it's not. It does not have to be. But if your brain is starved of omega-3 fatty acids, you're much more likely to have aging brain that ages very quickly and develops things like dementia. So there's actually a study that I was looking at where they were giving people who had early dementia, they gave them supplements with omega-3 fatty acids, just pure omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, and looked at what happened to them after 24 weeks. And what they saw is in just 24 weeks of just taking omega-3s, they had a net improvement of 3.4 years on their brain function. So think about somebody whose brain is declining. Usually the doctor will say there's not much we can do. The medicines we give for dementia just slows down the decline. It doesn't stop it or reverse it. But yet giving someone omega-3 fatty acids reversed it and gave them 3.4 year, they got to go back 3.4 years in only 24 weeks. That is powerful, isn't it? This is the power of nutrition on your cells. So I want you to really understand how important this is for you. So that's another reason why omega-3s are important. There's even a bigger reason. Can you imagine? A bigger reason why you need to eat omega-3s every single day. And I'm talking about chia seeds and flax seeds. And that is because they are what create the anti-inflammatory immune cells. So omega-6 creates the inflammatory immune cells that are causing all that chronic inflammation. Omega-3s, they fight inflammation. But if you're not eating them, guess what you can't do? You can't fight inflammation. So let me show you. Let's get all sciencey again, okay? So hopefully you guys aren't scared anymore because you saw the last one. Let's look at what happens with omega-3 fatty acids, okay? So flax seeds and chia seeds are primary sources of omega-3s. I picked those because they have much more omega-3 than omega-6. There's other things out there that have omega-3 fatty acids, but they are not a primary source of omega-3s because they have other stuff. They have more omega-6 than omega-3, okay? So flax seeds and chia seeds are what I want you to think about. So what they do is they give you something called ALA. Again, you don't have to worry about these scientific names. Just kind of sit back and take in what's happening. So ALA also uses an enzyme called delta-6 desaturase, and we go down the pathway and it creates EPA and DHA. Now, some of you guys might have heard of those because that is omega-3 fatty acids that's usually in supplements. Now, EPA and DHA use a COX enzyme and the LOX enzyme to create the anti-inflammatory immune cells, LTB5 and prostaglandin E3. These are the anti-inflammatory immune cells that you aren't making if you don't have omega-3 fatty acids. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what about fish oil? Fish oil is a source of EPA and DHA, and it's a pure source of EPA and DHA. But the problem is, the problem with that is, one, as you learned from the last pathway, when you eat fish or have fish oil, you're getting some saturated fat and you're getting arachidonic acid, which actually feeds inflammation, right? And the other problem is you have no control over the pathway. If you just pour fish oil in, you're getting tons of EPA and DHA, and your body can't control how much you're making. And the problem with that is you're more likely to get side effects. So if you take flax seeds and chia seeds in, your body can make however much DHA and EPA that you actually need. When you're pouring in all the fish oil, you can't control that. And I've had people had side effects. I've had multiple people start developing bruises because it inhibits clotting. And I actually had one woman whose side effect was she was getting little blood hemorrhages in her eyes, and it was from fish oil. So I've never, ever seen that with flax seeds and chia seeds. I've seen the benefits. I've never seen any of those side effects. So the much safer route is to get it from the plant sources, okay? Now let's see how this works here. So you just saw this pathway, which hopefully looks familiar because you saw the omega-6. I am now going to teach you, so just get ready. All right, hold on to your chair, how to hack into your body and your immune system so you can have the most ridiculous metabolism and the most rapid healing that you could ever possibly imagine. I'm going to show you how Thomas and I get people ridiculously fit and ridiculously healthy in ridiculously little amount of time. I mean, people actually, they get whiplash that it happens so quickly, and it's because of this. And I'm going to teach you what it is right now so you can do it too. It is so awesome. So I hope you guys are ready. Here we go. We're going to bring these pathways back. All right. So you just saw these two. Don't get scared, right? We see the omega-6 on the left, omega-3 on the right, right? So you guys saw this already, right? Here's where the mind gets blown. Okay. So first thing to notice here is that ALA and DHA, or ALA from omega-3 and LA from omega-6 both use the same enzyme. Now, this is something that's created a problem for some people because they compete for that enzyme. So depending on what you have more of, either omega-6s or omega-3s, that enzyme is going to get busy taking care of what you have more of, because that's how our body works. We have to get rid of the excess. So if you eat tons of vegetable oils and animal fats and processed foods and meat and seafood and eggs, if you're eating tons of that stuff, or especially all these oils over here, then your delta-60 saturase is just going to live in the omega-6 pathway. And guess what's not going to happen? You're not going to break down the flax seeds and the chia seeds into your EPA and DHA that you need. This is why there are some people out there in the nutrition world who say that you cannot get enough omega-3s from flax and chia seeds. And they are right in a sense. If you are eating a diet that's rich in vegetable oils and animal fats and processed foods, then there's a very good chance that you won't break down enough of the flax and chia seeds to get the type of anti-inflammatory properties that you want. So what do you do? Well, one thing is you could just drown yourself in flax and chia seeds, right? And that's one thing I do with people who are sick. We tell them to get at least a handful a day. We tell them to put it right into their green smoothie, but up to a half a cup a day. We're just like having them, you can either chew them or you can grind them up in your smoothie. But we're telling people to eat lots of them. That's one thing you can do. But here's the better way to do that. If you can eliminate the vegetable oils and the animal fats and the processed foods, if you say, you know what, bye-bye to the stuff that's making me sick and making me fat, then this enzyme can go and live in the omega-3 pathway, which means you're going to get massive conversion of flax seeds and chia seeds into your anti-inflammatory immune cells. I want you to take this in and see this, because when I show this pathway, I was at the Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference last year teaching, and when I put this pathway up, literally you just saw jaws drop in the audience, because again, the doctors, we weren't trained to look at it this way. But when they see this pathway, everything makes sense. And that's true just even for regular folks that are not medically trained. When you look at this pathway, you can understand why most people are sick, because most people eat a diet that consists of meat, dairy, and vegetable oils, and all they have is illness, right? And yet, when you give those up and you start feeding your omega-3 pathway, you can reverse disease so fast. It is remarkable. And I get text messages and Facebook messages from people every day telling me about different diseases that they are reversing using the information that I'm teaching here. This is one of the most powerful things you can learn about reversing disease in your body. And so I really hope that this helps you understand what might be the reason that you are sick right now or overweight, and how to get yourself really fit and healthy. And what we've seen is when people do this, they not only reverse disease quickly, but their metabolisms get so fast that when they apply just a little bit of exercise, or the amount of exercise that they used to apply that got them no results, they start getting massive results. And so people are so afraid of eating fat when they're trying to lose weight. When you're eating the right fats, flax seeds and chia seeds, you will notice your body just shedding fat. And so it is one of the hacks that Thomas and I use every day with our clients who work with us to help them get fit and healthy. So I hope that helps you understand this pathway and exactly which fats are making you sick and which fats are getting you healthy. So, there's one other thing. This is really, really cool, guys. Okay, ready? Now, when you've got EPA and DHA in your body because you're eating all this flax seeds and chia seeds, guess what that does? It inhibits the breakdown of arachidonic acid. It stops your body from breaking arachidonic acid down into the inflammatory immune cells. So it tells your body, hey, we're fighting inflammation right now. We don't need any more inflammation, and it stops that pathway. So now you really can see how this works, where if you can hijack and hack into your immune system by feeding yourself the right fats, you can not only create the immune cells that'll fight the inflammation, but you can shut down the inflammatory response that your body is using to create more inflammation. And that's how your body heals. We stop making more inflammation and we heal the inflammation we already have. That's what healing is, guys. That's what's creating a fast metabolism. That's what's reversing disease. So I hope that you guys totally love this. I'm so proud of myself for finishing on time, because when we teach our live events, this is at least a couple hours that I really get into detail to teach this information. And I teach an entire full day of how to use nutrition to heal, how to use supermarket foods to heal your body. But I hope that this hour at least gave you something that you can anchor yourself with to start getting better. So if you want to know more about me or more information about what I'm up to, veganmedicaldoctor.com is my website. If you are on Facebook, which almost everybody is, if you want to follow me on Facebook, if you just go to facebook.com/Dr. Goldner, DrGoldner, then every single day I post updates, I post recipes, I post videos, I post motivation, anything that's going on with me. Sometimes I'm just funny, I heard. But if you want to just follow me and keep up with the work I'm doing, if you want to hear about the next lecture that we're doing, then definitely like me on Facebook. If you want to, I mentioned when I was talking about how omega-3 fatty acids are one way to improve your memory and your mood and your cognition. Well, if you go to veganmedicaldoctor.com, on the homepage, just the front page, if you scroll down to the bottom, I have another free hour seminar that teaches you how to improve your memory, your mood, your thinking, and even make your brain bigger, all naturally. And it's a 1 hour seminar. It's free and it's well loved. And I just put that out there so that you guys can get even more information on how to be your best self. So that's just on the homepage of my website, absolutely 100% free. And if you want to watch more of my videos, if you just say, I need more of this quirky doctor, if you look up Brooke Goldner MD on YouTube, you can find my channel there. And we also have a free community. I mentioned SmoothieShred.com. My husband Thomas and I are dedicated to helping the world. We believe that health and fitness should be a right. Everybody should live in their best, healthiest, fittest body. It should not be something that's only available to some people. So we created Smoothie Shred Community so that everybody can have access to us and come together. We have right now the Smoothie Shred Challenge going on, where people are trying to drink a green smoothie every day that has their omega-3 fatty acids in it so that they can get healthier and fitter really, really quickly. So if you want to join it, it's a Facebook community, but the way you join it is you go to smoothieshred.com. It's 100% free. You're not going to get spammed, but when you join, you enter your email address and we send you the program, how to make your green smoothie, and what exercises you can do. And then it brings you to our closed Facebook group that's got over 2,500 people from all over the world who are all in there getting healthier and fitter together. And literally, we are in tears every night. We go through every post. We answer every question we can. And we are in tears with all the love and support in that group. It is no negativity allowed. And people are just so kind and encouraging. It's been the greatest gift to us to be able to give that. So please join our free community and you'll have access to us on a daily basis. If you're interested in a live event, if you thought that this was exactly what you're looking for and you want to know the next time we do a full day or 2-day live training event, just send me an email. We're planning one in Austin, probably in the next 2 months. And it'll be a full day event, Amazing Health Mastery, where I'm going to be teaching things just like you learned today about how to hack your health so that you can have the best health possible. And it'll also create a fast metabolism if that's what you're looking for. So it'll be a full day event that's going to include healthy healing foods there. So if that's something that's up your alley, just send me an email so I can assess the interest of who wants to come and who wants to show up, and we can start planning a date for that. So if you want to come to that, I would love to see you live. And
what's the email address?
Oh, I have it here on the page, but it's drg@veganmedicaldoctor.com, drg@veganmedicaldoctor.com. So for those of you who don't have the screen, thank you for reminding me, drg@veganmedicaldoctor.com. And if you didn't get that mouthful, if you just go to my website, veganmedicaldoctor.com, you can click contact me there. For those of you who just want to read more, you guys are readers, my books are available on Amazon.com. So Goodbye Lupus and Green Smoothie Recipes to Kickstart Your Health and Healing, those are available on Amazon.com. and they are low cost, and I have them so that people can all have access to the information that you deserve to be able to have. And so a lot of folks really, really love those. And actually, Goodbye Lupus, I've had multiple doctors' offices that are buying them in bulk so that they can give them to their patients because they're getting such great results. So it's been really a wonderful gift there too. And finally, if any of you out there really want personal one-on-one support, contact me through veganmedicaldoctor.com. I'm happy to do, as I said, I do all of my consultations via Skype for people anywhere in the world. So if you want to actually meet me face to face and get some personalized help, then you are totally welcome to do that. I would totally love it. So I hope this was awesome for you. I hope you learned something that's going to change your life and your health. That's all I really want. I know what it's like to be sick. I know what it's like to have amazing, amazing health. And that's all I really want for you guys. I want everyone to understand what it's like to really have magnificent, amazing health, and to have it be easy and have it be something that's just simple, that you can go to the supermarket and have the life that you want. I was given a second chance. I was told I wasn't going to live a long life. And now I get to grow old with the person that I love. I get to be a mom, and I get to be here with you and help you. And that's all I want, is I want all of you to have that gift as well. So hopefully I'll see you on Facebook. I'll see you on the Smoothie Shred Challenge. I'm here for you if you need any other support. I love you guys, and I wish you the very best. I'll see you next time.